Hey everyone, it's Adam Helfman. Welcome to the podcast. Today we're going to be talking with Tracey Freeman. She's a real estate agent from TSF Homes, and we're going to be asking her a lot of tough questions. Not only are we going to ask her what you need to ask real estate agents, but we're going to get from her the questions real estate agents don't want you to ask. Is it a buyer's market? Maybe a seller's market? We don't know, but we're going to find out today. Hey everyone, it's Adam Helfman. Welcome to the podcast. If you've ever thought about improving in your house and you just decided, you know what? I don't want to fix anything up. I just want to move. Well, today we're going to figure out how to find the right real estate agent. In studio right now, we have Tracey Freeman from TSF Homes. Welcome to the podcast, Tracey.
Thank you for having me.
So, Tracey, this is your first time with Hire It Done.
Yes.
Why don't you introduce yourself to the Hire It Done audience and tell everyone a little bit about you, how long you've been a real estate agent, and what got you into the business?
Sure. So I've been a real estate agent for about 5 years. In my previous life, I'm a CPA. I worked in public accounting. I worked in investor relations at a private credit fund in Chicago. I decided to become a realtor in 2020. Like so many people, my husband and I had purchased in Chicago. We had a very unsavory experience with our own realtor. And we looked at each other and I said, I can do this better. And so in 2020, I got my license. I started acting as a realtor nights and weekends. And when my pipeline got big enough in 2022, I quit my accounting job and started doing this full time.
Was that in Chicago or Michigan?
In Michigan.
Oh, so you moved to Michigan and became a realtor there?
Yes. When we moved to Michigan in 2021, I got relicensed here.
Perfect.
And started my business here.
Quite a transition from being a CPA, debits equal credits,
yes,
and then to real estate.
Yes.
Is there any like parallel analysis, or what made that? It's like I've never seen anyone transition a career like from that to that.
I think I haven't crossed paths with any other realtor who has a background working in public accounting that's a CPA. But I've always worked in client service, and being a realtor is client service. And
to the 10th degree.
Yes, you're helping people with what's most often their largest purchase. It's very emotional. And that's honestly what I love about what I do, is that I get to be out in the field. I'm meeting new people who have all different objectives: first-time home buyers, downsizers, investors, and I get to help them make what is most often the largest purchase that they'll make.
Tell me, Tracey, about the last 5 years of the real estate business, or since you became a realtor. Has it been great? Is it going backwards, forwards? What is the history of the last couple of years? Yeah,
so I would say in 2020 and 2021, when rates were 3%, everyone was buying, right? Everybody wanted to move. Everyone wanted to upsize. First-time home buyers were getting out of renting. I think then once rates crept up, we stagnated a little bit. And people stayed where they were. They weren't as eager to move. First-time home buyers were like, maybe I'll wait until rates come down. But now, 5 years later, it kind of feels like people are really starting to understand that rates are not coming back down. Or if they are, it's going to be more in the 4 or 5% range.
Sure.
And what I always tell my clients is we don't want to see rates in the 2 to 3% range, because that means that there's been a global event. So I think that we cannot realistically expect to see 3% rates again in our lifetime. And it feels like the market is becoming more comfortable with that as well.
Well, that's interesting, because what the higher rates did do is it fueled the home improvement business. Mm-hmm. People said, I'm not moving. I'm going to put a brand new kitchen in. I'm going to do this and do that. And it created a boom. Plus, COVID stopped a lot of new construction. Mm-hmm. So there was this whole inventory that got depleted. But right now, inventories are up in housing?
Yeah, it seems that way. Definitely year over year, inventories have been up in Oakland County. People are moving. People want to get into school districts. People want to upsize. A lot of people that maybe bought that first home in 2020 now have 1 child, 2 child, and they want to move.
Yeah, family's growing again.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. You say people are moving. We used to have a saying when I was a contractor: "Don't move, improve." Uh-huh. But at this point, it's a good option for homeowners. All right, so current pulse of the real estate market here in Metro Detroit. If I'm a homeowner who wants to sell, is it right now a good time to list?
I think it's always a good time to list.
It doesn't matter time of year?
Not really. I mean, people think that the best time to list, the best time to move is summer. With summer, comes more competition because everyone's trying to get maybe where their next spot is before the school year. There's this misnomer that there's the most inventory in the summertime. I personally bought my home in November. People move 12 months a year. Sometimes if you do wait for the colder months, October, November, December, there's less competition. Maybe you get a better price on a home. A lot of my buyers who are in the market in the fall or around the holiday time are nervous that they're not going to see all the inventory. And to that I say, but you have so much less competition. Maybe you're going to get the great house and not have to, bid up over list. So I think it really just depends on when you want to move. There's always houses for sale. There's always people that need to move. I wouldn't necessarily just hold out till spring.
It's actually a good point for homeowners. So you're saying that if you want to move or you want to buy a house, it doesn't matter what time of year. Once you make that decision, pull the trigger and start looking. Because you may find right out of the gate something great, but at the same time, you may have to wait a little to find what you're looking for.
Exactly.
What advice can you give homeowners who are looking to buy a house right now? Let's say they have an existing house and they know they have to sell theirs, but let's talk about purchases and then we'll talk about selling. So if a homeowner is looking to buy a house, what are some of the things they should be ready to know or be comfortable with? Like school district, location, commute to work. Do you ever bring up things like that? Of
course. Yeah. Those are the initial discussions we always have. What are their must-haves? What is most important to them? And then we kind of trickle down from there. What would be nice?
It's interesting because I have a friend who lives on a lake out in Commerce. And he's been there probably, I remember when he bought the house, he needed windows and stuff, probably 10 years. I'll never forget, after he moved in, about 6 months after, he said to me, "You won't believe this. I think I made a mistake." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "I cannot stand the traffic coming from my house to my office." And his office is in Southfield. But coming from the lakes, there's no direct route. This road, that road, and then his commute, he was like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "Well, listen, changed it up." He goes, "What do you mean?" I go, "Well, put a book on tape, make emails, call customers back, obviously pay attention to the road." But
right.
So do you ever talk about to homeowners, hey, you're thinking about going to, you want to move to Birmingham or you want to move to Commerce, you want to move to Milford, the pluses and the minuses? Do you give them that?
Of course. And I think sometimes people start their search focused on where work is. And if it's an expensive area, maybe they start branching out and they're like, "Oh, well, I can get this beautiful colonial for half the price over here." And I'm like, well, do you want to add, do you want to drive 40 minutes to work every day? Do you like the school district? Is it near your friends? So
you have that discussion?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A lot of times people are like, "Yeah, I'm thinking about buying a house. What you got?" And I'm thinking real estate agents, "Oh, well, what's your price range? Are you pre-approved?"
Well, those are some of the initial discussions as well. So if somebody already owns their home and they want to move, so many of my clients say, "I don't want to spend more than X." And I say, "Oh, how did you come up with that number?" Especially if they're not pre-approved. And it's something they think just sounds right. It sounds palatable. And I always recommend that they talk to a lender. They talk to their financial advisor. Their
Is getting
CPA.
pre-approved a very important aspect?
Yes, it's the first step.
It is. Okay, so let's role play for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to buy a house. You're the real estate agent. Got your name from this guy on radio, whatever.
Yeah.
Gave me your number and he said, "Call Tracey. She'll help you out." So, "Hi, Tracey. It's Adam Helfman. I'm thinking about buying a house. How are you?"
I'm well. How are you, Adam?
"Well, I got your name from this guy, blah, blah, blah. And so we want to get a new house."
Great.
What are the questions you're going to ask me right out of the gate?
I'm going to ask you, where do you want to be?
I want to be in Birmingham.
I want to be in Birmingham. Excellent. I live in Birmingham too. Have you
neighbors?
Have you spoken with a lender?
I'm pre-approved. Yes.
You're pre-approved. That's excellent. Yeah. Okay. So do you need to sell your current home in order to purchase your next home?
No.
Okay.
I want to give my home to my kid and then I want to buy a new house.
So tell me a little bit about your ideal home in Birmingham. What does it look like?
My ideal home in Birmingham would be walkable to food, so downtown. I want a first floor master. I don't need a lot of property because I don't like doing any maintenance. I hire people to do all the work, and I want to be under $1 million.
That's great. Okay, so from here, I would set up a search for us. And I'm not just going to send you everything that hits the MLS in Birmingham with that criteria, because you could set up a search like that on Zillow and you wouldn't need me to
I don't want
that.
a condo either.
Yeah.
I want a house.
You want a house. So I'm going to set up a search and I'm going to curate a list to send to you every day, every week, whenever. I'm going to send you on-market listings, off-market listings. I work at the single largest brokerage in the state of Michigan, so I often get access and see things before they even come to market.
Oh, wow.
So that we can go and see them before the rest of the public does.
For the audience, you said something interesting just a second ago, off-market listings.
Mm-hmm.
Can you define what that means for homeowners? Because that seems to be like a new type of niche.
Yeah. So sometimes people, for whatever reason, don't want to broadly market their home and put it on the MLS. Maybe they're getting divorced. Maybe they just don't want all their nosy neighbors coming in to see the home. Whatever it may be, sometimes they just try to preview it within their brokerage to see if they can find a buyer. And so a lot of times, just given that I live in Birmingham as an example, I can get my clients into these homes to see them before they even come to market.
Well, that's an advantage, a definite first mover advantage. I like that. What would benefit me if you get a house before it's listed? Did that prevent the bidding wars and things like that?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. That helps me a lot. Now, what about someone like me who says, okay, I live in Bloomfield Hills, I want to move to Birmingham, but you may get a client who says, I'm in Milford, or I may want to move to Milford, let's just say. You're okay with finding houses in Milford? You can do pretty much anywhere in Michigan?
So I primarily focus on Oakland County, Macomb, and Wayne.
So the Tri-County area.
The Tri-County area. If somebody's looking outside of that, I've had clients who want to buy lake homes up north. I have a network of agents all throughout the state of Michigan that I can refer the business to, so that they'll be in really good hands, that I'd feel really good sending them to a different agent. Okay,
so you'll be able to network and do that.
Yeah.
So there's no problem with you being Birmingham based and helping someone in Milford or helping someone in Charlevoix or Petoskey or Grand Rapids or Detroit or Macomb.
Right. Well, so if you start going outside, if you start talking about Petoskey, Charlevoix, I do work with other agents up there because I want you to have the best advocate. And
you'll find someone up there that'll work.
Exactly.
That's fair. And that makes good sense. And that's really professional. Okay. So now that I've listed my house with you, do you require, you have to come see my house first?
Of course.
Okay. So when you come to my house, are you the type of person who's going to say, hey, you got too much clutter, or hey, there's an odor, or, you got to clean the carpets, or we got to paint.
Yep.
Like you give homeowners what they need to do?
Yeah. And sometimes those are really tough discussions because you're in somebody's home. You're in somebody's sanctuary. This is where they live. It is all their personal belongings. And you have to be very delicate as not to offend. But I often just try to explain to my clients that we need to be able to get the house in a condition that somebody else can walk through it and view it as their own. So we're putting away all personal mementos. We are getting it scrubbed by a professional cleaning company.
So you do tell them, listen, you got to have your house professionally deep cleaned, carpet cleaned, things like that.
Of course.
Furnace cleaned up, maybe chocolate chip cookie smell.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. It makes sense. I guess, again, it's hard, but at the same time, you have to do that in order to present a house so that someone can envision what their house will look like if they want to move there.
Correct.
Okay. What about when you do that for a homeowner? What about staging? For a minute, oh my God, everyone's staging. It's the biggest thing ever.
Yeah.
And I've watched it go up and go down, and I've had people say, ugh, it's the worst thing you can do. Oh, you know what? Every house I do, I stage, and it sells faster. What's your opinion and your experience on staging?
So I think it really depends. Okay. I think it depends on the objective of the seller. Oftentimes what I find that we can use a lot of the items and the belongings that they already have. But then I can bring in my professional stager. Perhaps we move them around a bit. Perhaps we use different throw pillows.
So you have
blankets.
a person that you work with at the stager?
Yes. I have a whole database of people. And that's one of the things that I think I really bring to my clients is I'm not just the realtor who comes and puts my, stake in your yard that says for sale. I can help with, junk removal, power washing, plumbing. If you need anything done prior to getting your home ready for sale, I have somebody we can call and they're going to show up. They're going to get it done.
So if someone needs a house fixed up, maybe a new countertop, maybe paint, repair, little things, you can handle that.
I handle it. And I also help my clients weigh the benefits of doing it. Is replacing my countertop going to bring me more, than the cost of the countertop when I go to sell it? So I help them understand what we should fix and what we should just leave for the next buyer to improve.
Okay, that helps. So when you're with a client and let's just say it's me and I'm looking to buy houses and you say, okay, Adam, I've got a bunch of houses. I want to take you to come see them. Do you send me the houses on the listing digitally and I look at them and I say, oh, I want to see these 2 out of these 4 you sent me? Mm-hmm. Or do you just say, hey, Saturday, book out 4 hours and we're going to go see houses? What's more the likely way to do this?
I would say more of the norm is I send you listings and you say, hey, I really like these 2. Let's go check them out. Sometimes if my clients are relocating from out of state, I do a little more of the legwork and say, based on what you've told me, because maybe they aren't as familiar with the area, I think these are 4 really good options that we should go check out. But often if the people are already local, then they kind of dictate where we go. So
that's okay. You leave it up to them. Mm-hmm. So how important is curb appeal? You know, I've been to unlimited amount of houses. And I always, when I pull up to a house, I look at the front door, I look at the landscaping, I look how the house is laid out. Obviously, when someone's selling a house, you know, there's a lot to it. But how important is in buying decisions or impression on a homeowner? How important is curb appeal?
Very, very. It's your first impression. Okay. So I often recommend that we get the house power washed. We cut the grass. If we need to do any light landscaping, we do that too. Think about it. When you pull up, that's your first impression. It's like when you're sitting down on a first date, it's the first thing you notice about somebody. So I think that curb appeal is very important.
It does. Okay. And so if they don't have curb appeal, you say to the homeowner, look, here's what I would recommend we do. Paint your front door, maybe put a toe kick on it, trim the bushes, maybe add some flowers.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Just light. Now, what if the homeowner's like, listen, I don't have budget. I got to sell this house I want out.
Yep.
Then you flip the script a little, or what else do you do?
That's a good question. So I really try to work with my clients. A lot of times TSF Homes will front the cost of these repairs. And then I will I'll reimburse myself from the proceeds of the sale. So if somebody doesn't have the funds up front to make it, I help them out. That's part of what I do, so that we can put their home in the best possible light to get sold quickly.
That seems like a good plan, obviously. So there's a lot of factors involved when you're looking to buy a house. Mm-hmm. So now let's assume I find a house I like. Mm-hmm. I say to you, okay, this house I could see myself living. It's a little bit outside my budget. I don't, you get homeowners who want to steal a house. They want to, let's lowball it. It does. The offer reflects on you too, doesn't it?
Yes.
So let's use a number, $899 is the house. Uh-huh. Okay. I want to make an offer, but I want to make an offer significantly lower, but I'm also smart enough to know, all right, Tracey, you're the expert. What are some of the criteria that you would input into the decision process on making an offer? Is it like how long the house been listed? Things like that?
Yeah. So when I have clients who want to put in lowball offers, I often try to start the conversation by asking, how did you arrive at this number?
Right.
And a lot of times it's based in emotion. And so I try to provide them with facts. So with MLS Access, I have data, all the home sales in the area, what's active in the area too. I can look at trends in the neighborhood as well. So that
all impacts everything.
Yes. And so I think if we are significantly off from what the sellers think it's worth, and I should preface that by saying, just because a seller thinks it's worth X, they can list it for whatever they want.
Right. They have the right to say yes or no.
Of course. So just because they listed for X doesn't mean they're going to get X. But if we are really far apart and it's been on the market for 4 days, I try to educate my clients so that they have the best possible chance of winning the home. So
you got a house on the market for $899. Mm-hmm. All the comps in the area were $750. Mm-hmm. I think I want to buy that house, but I want to offer $750.
Okay.
Is that too far of a spread?
In those situations, I go back to the seller's agent and I say, my client really likes this home. Help me get to $899. Help me explain to them why this home is worth $899. And a lot of times, if the market data doesn't support it, they've got nothing.
Right.
So they probably had an emotional seller, somebody who thinks their home is worth $899.
It could be a divorce. It could be a million things, right?
Yeah.
So in those scenarios, it makes sense. As my agent, though, I want you to get me the best price.
Right.
So you obviously represent me, and they're at $899. I'm at $750. You believe because of the comps that it's a legitimate offer. Mm-hmm. But the homeowner may be thinking in their head, like you said, that it's way worth more.
Yeah, so a lot of times in those scenarios, I'll send the comps that we used. So if you're looking at a home on Main Street and there are 3 other homes on Main Street that sold closer to that 750 mark, I'll send those when I send our offer. I'll say, look, we put together this great offer. Right. It's competitive. It's based on these sales in the neighborhood. And then I think it also gives the seller's agent some, good data points to go back to their client with to show them that their seller's being a bit unreasonable.
Okay. That helps a lot as well. So, all right. So now the offer goes in. Mm-hmm. Offer's accepted. Let's say we compromise. I wanted $750. They're at $899. We get it at $805. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, at $805, I'm in. Now, and I'm approved, ready to close. Home inspection.
Yep.
Home inspector uncovers a list of things. Now, in my opinion, being in the home improvement sphere, there are 2 types of home inspectors. There's the deal makers and the deal breakers. Mm-hmm. Obviously, I'm buying a home and spending a lot of money. I want a home inspector to peel away layers and find any defects that may have been hidden, but also just open my eyes to it. In your situation, you'll see, sometimes the home inspectors are nitpicky, mm-hmm. but they'll find things. How do you deal with something that, like, say, all right, he found signs of a flood that they didn't disclose in the seller's disclosure, and he recommends, we're not going to use the word mold, we'll use the word biohazard. Okay.
Yes.
Biogrowth. Signs of biogrowth, uh-huh. Right? Because mold is like a deal killer.
Yeah.
At that point, how do you, what's your reaction? How do you manage and facilitate that?
Well, I should start off by saying I want the inspector to find those things because sure. I want my buyers to purchase with confidence. I don't want them to have surprises after they close. Good. No one wants that.
Sure.
Right? That's why I became a realtor. So, the inspectors that I use, I think, do a really good job of generating the reports that do have everything in the home that's yep. wrong. You can get really nitpicky. But what I really like about the inspectors that are, I'll call my go-tos, that I recommend my buyers use, is they are really good at highlighting what's material, what's important, what would give you pause about buying this home. So you'll have that full list of items that probably, that will create a punch list that somebody will visit hireat.com to take care of. But
hope so.
But then they're also going to, if there's issues with the foundation, if there's issues with the mechanicals, the roof, that is what I advise my clients to really focus on so they can decide if they want to purchase it, if they want to ask for monetary concessions, like, we still really love this home, but we're going to need $10,000 toward a new roof. Or if they want to ask the seller to make the repairs. So we can say, hey, seller, we still love this home. We still want to buy this home. But in order for us to proceed, you got to put a new roof on it.
That's interesting. What do you do when you do discover something that's been concealed? Like it's an obvious, like there was a fire, and then when the home inspector went in the attic, it's a charred wood, even though it's been dealt with, and there's no disclosure on a fire. Mm-hmm. What do you like when you say to the homeowner, "Oh, we forgot"?
Yeah, so that happens all the time,
right?
Because the motivations are a little bit different between the seller and the buyer. So I usually seek to understand, first of all. Perhaps it's not what we think it is, or perhaps there's an easy explanation, or perhaps
give them the benefit of the doubt.
Exactly. Just try to understand. Then we have a specialist come in. So if the inspector, for whatever reason, maybe thinks there is mold growth or thinks the water quality is compromised, whatever it is, we can have a specialist come in and evaluate it. Once we have that specialist opinion, then we can decide how we want to proceed.
You got mold, you got lead mm-hmm. paint sometimes, asbestos.
Yeah.
You found things that have basically, I would call those deal killers?
Well, I think it just depends on the buyer's risk tolerance.
Sure.
Sometimes first-time home buyers don't want to take on a mold situation or water or whatever it is.
Well, if you're a homeowner with young kids, or you want to be in a house that has kids, mm-hmm. or going to eventually have kids, I don't want to put any risk of any toxic environment that's not cleaned up.
Well, right, because a lot of that can be remediated.
Okay.
But again, it depends on your risk tolerance. If you are a seasoned investor, or maybe it's your second or third home and you have a little bit of experience.
Yeah, it doesn't scare me.
Exactly.
So that also impacts the whole thing.
Of course.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So you've heard the term buyer's market and seller's market.
Yes.
For the audience, tell them in a simple way, what's the difference?
Yeah. So in a buyer's market, that means there is more inventory. There are more people that want to sell their home than there are buyers in the market. So in a buyer's market, buyers have more flexibility on price. They can maybe make some of those lowball offers and get them accepted. In a seller's market, there's less inventory and there's more buyers, more people who want to move for less homes. So what we've been feeling in Metro Detroit for several years now is more of this seller's market. There are more buyers than there are homes for sale. Of course, it ebbs and flows a little bit, both with the seasons, with interest rates, sometimes just for whatever reason. But I would say overall, our market here in Metro Detroit has felt like a seller's market.
So currently in the fall of 2025, before we head into next year, 2026, is it at the tail end of a seller's market, or are we still in a seller's market, or not yet?
It does feel like some of the activity has cooled off. I think my clients haven't gotten into as many bidding wars. It kind of feels that, yes, I think some of the madness that we feel in the springtime has cooled off as we enter the fall.
So if I'm somebody who says, you know what, I want to sell my house next spring, should I list it now and see what it is, or should I wait, knowing that I have work to do anyways around the house to do all this?
I would advise you to list it now if you want to move. And here's why. A lot of people want to wait for that springtime because spring's the best time to sell. There's the most buyers. But then in turn, you have to move. You have to find your next spot. And so whatever market you're leaving, you're also entering as the buyer. So I think really it depends on what your timing is.
Okay, so there's a lot. But you're the type of person that would actually help the full package. So I have a house. I want to buy a new house. So I can list my house with you and then use you to buy a new house.
Yes.
So that's a good advantage for me. Okay, so speaking of that, if I hear and you go online and you see, real estate, the commission, 6% is the starting number. Is that the norm? Is that what is that what it is? Or who determines 6%?
So these are always negotiable. They
Correct.
always have been, and they always will be. When people throw around the 6%, so that's 3% to the seller's brokerage and 3% to the buyer's brokerage.
Right.
What we often see in Metro Detroit is that the sellers are offering buyer's brokerage compensation. So when you sell your home, whatever fee you agree upon with your seller's agent, you'll pay. And then you likely will not have to recompensate your broker when you go to purchase your next home.
So let's just do some easy math. $1 million home, if you give 3% to the seller and 3% to the selling brokerage and the buying brokerage 3%, that's 6%. 6% of $1 million is $60,000. So $60,000 gets off the purchase price and gets divided up, however, to the seller and the buyer, the real estate agents. Some people will say that's crazy a lot of money, but at the same time, nobody knows how long it takes, how much effort you do, how much money you spend to get the house ready to the market, how many phone calls, how many Saturdays, Sundays, open houses, and how much pounding on the ground you're doing to earn that. People don't, it's hard to quantify that.
It is hard to quantify it, but I think that the right agent, a really hardworking agent, does do a ton of work. I'm going to put your home in magazines. I'm going to get it premium spots on all the Zillow, Realtor.com, all those highly trafficked websites to put you in the best spot. Like you said, open houses, coordinating showings. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, working with title companies, lenders, all the different agents who come through the house, answering questions, being your best advocate. Would you want to discount your heart surgeon? It's just, you want somebody who's really going to fight for you and work on your behalf. And so while fees are negotiable, always have been, always will be, I urge you to just think about that. If you're trying to get a discount agent, think about how hard they're going to be working for you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, I have enough experience to know, there are some agents out there who I'll get you on the MLS, and that's all they do. And they hope that sells the house for them.
Right.
And then there are people that'll roll their sleeves up like you who will pound the streets and literally put a real marketing plan together and go and get the house sold.
Correct.
Do you have any listings currently?
Yeah.
You're always, because I see this just listed, just sold, it's really good.
Thank you.
That's one of the reasons why you're on the podcast. 'Cause I was impressed with your efforts. So the buyer's market, seller's market, now we know the difference.
Yes.
We're still, you still think we're in a seller's market?
Little bit, but
tail end of it.
Yes, tail end of it.
What's your forecast for 2026?
I think that rates hopefully will come down a little bit. With that, I think prices will go up because more people are going to flood the market.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're going to see a lot of what we've already been seeing.
Well, here's the thing. I have a mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 3%,
Mm-hmm.
2.9 or something like. But it's like, let's just say 3%.
Mm-hmm.
If I were to sell my house now, which I want to do in the spring actually, and buy a new house, I'm not going to get the 3%. That's actually a stumbling block for me right now.
Yeah.
I should wait. What should I do? How come someone hasn't come up with the mortgage assumption or assume your mortgage or land contract,
Yeah.
and then convert it or something? I don't know. I thought about that, but I don't know. Again, next spring, buying, is there going to be more demand? Or what if I want to sell my house and I just want to rent?
People do that too.
Do you help people find rentals?
Of course. Yeah, I help tenants all the time. People do that because they want the flexibility. Maybe, or I want to try out this neighborhood. Maybe you're moving here from out of state. I think I want to be in Troy. I'm not sure. Let me rent here for a year, see how I like it. I think with renting, yes, you're not building equity in a home, but you're buying yourself that optionality. You can get out of it. You can, look around, see what you like, still have a great place to live.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so homeowner decides they're going to list a house. They have no idea who to call, what to call. They didn't know about us or anything. What are some questions that homeowners should ask a real estate agent?
I think this entire podcast. No,
you should watch it, right? They should watch it.
Yeah, no, they should
Very
ask.
informative.
Should ask for their track record. Tell me a little bit about the homes that you have sold. How did that process go? Do you have any reviews? Go check them out on Google. See what their clients have to say. I think it's important to ask them kind of how they get their home ready, how they attract buyers, what they do to really showcase their home on the public market, but then also just try to get a good feel of what they've done in the past. Have they transacted in your community? What do their past clients have to say? Look at how long the homes that they've listed for sale have sat on the market. And all of those should be really good indicators of whether or not you want to list with that agent.
So what advice could you give to a potential homeowner? And how would you handle something like that?
Yeah. So when I meet with a seller, and perhaps kind of going back to that $899 example, if
Correct.
they think their home's worth $899 and I think it's worth $750, and we have kind of a material gap there, I will try to show them comps in the area about why I think their home should be priced at $750. If they say, no, I really want to price it at $899, perhaps there's a buyer out there that will pay it. I want to see if they're out there. I say, okay, let's try your strategy. We'll try listing it at $899. And after 2 weeks, if we don't have any, solid showing, solid activity, maybe we'll reduce the price. And so that's typically how I try to reconcile when I have a very different opinion from a potential seller.
Got it. So you set the stage properly, which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
What about homeowners that have amnesia? Or they've met with 5-6 agents,
Mm-hmm.
and they remember a few things the other agents told them, but they attribute it to you, meaning you said it would sell right away. You said this, and you're like, I don't know what you're talking about. But someone else said, hey, let me list your house. I'll get this sold right away. I know exactly what to do, with confidence. And then the homeowner ends up saying, oh, yeah. But then they remember a few things. It's like, how much is my kitchen going to cost? Well, anywhere between $30,000 and $50,000.
Uh-huh.
Homeowner remembers 30, not the 50.
Yeah.
So they have selective memory, not against homeowners or anything, but I'm assuming you've come up against that in the past.
Yes. I usually try to summarize our conversations or our strategy in an email before we list. So if we agreed that we were going to stage, or if we were going to make home improvements, whatever it is, I try to make our game plan over email so that we both have a copy of it.
So let me ask you this. Take the last 10 transactions that you had. just nothing specific, but where you had the buyer buy a house, of the 10, how many of those buyers plan on doing some renovation once they move in the house? Most all of them. So that matches the theory or the statistics. $465 billion a year is spent on home improvement.
Wow.
Most homeowners, and 80% of that number is spent in the first 18 months of home ownership.
Okay.
So it's a good statistic to know. And I just was curious because you're like, yeah, new carpet, we're going to clean the furnace or whatever.
Yeah.
Is there anything like people always are doing when they get in a house besides painting? I'm sure everyone wants to paint a few things besides a deep cleaning. Is there like, oh, we got to get new furnaces. I got to update the kitchen, update the granite, upgrade tile. Have you seen any trends on any of that?
I think it's mostly the kitchen and the bathrooms
Always.
that people want. Yeah, that's what people usually go for. So yeah, painting, carpet is usually a given. A lot of people want to update the kitchen. It's where they spend most of their time, family time. It's kind of the happy place for a lot of people. They really want to make it theirs. So I find that kitchens, the primary bathroom, sometimes the backyard, if people have dogs or, they want to put in, I really like entertaining in Michigan summers. So they want to put in a hardscape. They want to get a nice grill. That's often a lot of what my clients are doing.
That's interesting. Okay. Let's switch gears one more time now. Offers. You get multiple offers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's play, we're the homeowner. You're listing my house.
Mm-hmm.
We listed on a Friday. The following Tuesday, I got 5-6 offers.
Yeah.
Do you just say, let's take the highest one? Or do you say, look, they're all pretty close, but here's the difference? Is there like cash buyer, pending something, what makes you look at each one individually, and how do you make a recommendation to me which one to take?
Yeah. So I make a spreadsheet. So
Okay.
I say, here's offer A, B, C, D, and here's what they're offering. And so, yes, a lot of times sellers just look for the sticker price.
Right.
What is the highest amount that I'm going to get for my house? But there's more to it than that. What type of loan is the buyer taking out? If they need occupancy, if they need to stay in their home after closing, how much occupancy is the buyer offering them? Is it free occupancy? Do they have to pay to live there? When's the closing date? Does the seller need, 60 days, in their home before they close? Well, if the buyer is trying to get in the next 2 weeks because they need to move, does that match our timeline? So there's a lot of things we have to weigh besides just the $8.99 offer.
So there might be an offer for $8.99 with a lot of conditions, but then there might be one for $8.29, but it matches everything that we need. We need an extra 90 days in the house. They can come in anytime. They can, close when we're ready.
Yeah.
But this higher offer is I have to be out in 2 weeks. It's FHA or whatever, and there's other inspections. So there's potential deal killers.
So what I try to do is I'll go back to both parties, to the one that offered $8.29 but has all the other terms we want. We have other offers that are higher, but we like your terms. Is there room to come up? Then I go back to the $8.99 and I say, we really like your offer, but the rest of the terms aren't right. Can you give us more time in the home? Can we push out close? Whatever it is that my seller client needs, and I see where we shake out.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. So then after that, you make a decision or a recommendation. It's still, at the end of the day, it's the homeowner who wants to.
Yeah, it's always the seller's decision. I actually had a situation last summer where my seller clients received multiple offers. There were 2 that really stood out. One of them was $10,000 less than the other, but they included a letter and they really liked what the potential buyers had to say.
Okay.
They're like, we just really want to sell to these people. And so I said, let me see if I can get the other party, to come up and see if they'll come up. So you get the same price that this letter is not worth $10,000 and you still feel really good about selling your home. And so I was able to negotiate that additional $10,000 for them.
So that's a big win.
Yeah. Yeah. So then, they felt good about who they were. Yeah.
That just brings up another question. Let's say I get an offer full price for my house,
Mm-hmm.
and then I get one $10,000 less, but I don't want to sell it to the full price offer. Am I in trouble? Can I sell to whoever I want, or I have to take the highest price?
You can sell. No, you can sell to whoever you want.
So I can say no.
Of course you can. It's your home. I'm just here to guide you.
So Tracey, you've got a full library of information that you can share with homeowners, and I want to thank you for coming on today. If anybody out there is thinking about hiring a realtor or selling their house or getting advice, I highly urge and recommend you call Tracey. Tracey, give everyone the email address, the number, website, full gamut.
Yes. So my website is tsfhomes.com. Email is tracy@tsfhomes.com.
Tracey with an EY.
EY, yes.
Gotcha. And of course, the link in bio below, you can get all the information as well. Tracey, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome.